Alright. Is there anything else? See in here? I'm gonna... Pretty sure I have... got 8 of those. I got 20 of these. Yeah, I might as well. Just throw these down. In case we get attacked on the way out, which I'm guessing we are. I still can't believe it. The Ethos was that dubious an organization. What was in that I believed in all this time? What was it that I believed in all this time? Isn't that the very reason why I told you back then that you belong with us? Verlaine? You're defiled, Billy. You left the Ethos and kept company with dregs and have no faith at all, and you lost sight of what it means to be defiled. I didn't expect it out of you. You who used to live only for your faith. You should have remained like us. But fear not, Billy, I shall cleanse you. You'll live within me. You will become one with me in death. What? You? Father, how could you do that? What are you getting flustered about, boy? It was a stun bullet. He's just taking a nap. You should have been able to tell by the sound it made. Besides, these murderers are not from the Ethos. Look. That symbol. Yes, that's right. They're agents of Solaris. Probably an assassination unit under Stone's command. I got word that they were exterminating all Ethos members and hurried here, but I was too late. All Ethos affiliates have already been killed, except for those on some sort of salvage mission. You claim Verlaine and his men are an assassination unit for the Bishop? How could you even say such blasphemy? That's right, we are servants of the Bishop. Our mission is to hand out judgment on fallen priests and sinners in order to make them repent. Is that true, Verlaine? But why people from the Ethos? The Pontiff and his brethren deserve to die. They allowed greed to tempt them into abandoning their duties as the Ethos to pursue world domination. They passed their own death sentences when they allowed such desires to overtake them. And that's not all. Saving orphans and refugees, that may seem like works of mercy, but the little boys and girls kept here were actually used as a means to satisfy the desires of the Pontiff and bishops. Indulging in selfish desires, this is not conduct befitting priests. Such defiling leaven have no right to speak for God. That is why we set out this purification work. They must atone for their sins. These are the bishop's orders. Even if that were true, we have no right to punish others. Judgment belongs to God. That is what we were taught, wasn't it? God? Where does such a being exist? You should know by now how the Ethos came about. It was an organization created by Solaris aeons ago, solely for the... Aeons? Eons? Shouldn't it be eons? Ago solely for the purpose of managing ignorant humans. Its doctrines are just deceptions designed to control the masses. The Ethos used the two sweet fruits of faith and technology well to skillfully manipulate global affairs and people's zeal. Thus, they manipulated the ignorant masses to repeatedly continue their pointless wars. Eventually, battle data on men and weapons gleaned from these wars were sent to Solaris itself and analyzed to aid in ruling the entire Earth. These intentionally perpetuated wars caused much psychological discord, but faith in God, salvation, was used as a cushion to soften the blow. It was a well-thought-out system, but the choice of managers was extremely poor. Or did you think that acting the part of a faithful servant of God would someday yield an answer from a great God somewhere? Can't you see that such a divine being just never existed from the beginning? And you don't seem to realize this, but you yourself were passing judgment on sinners as much as we were. I have been passing judgment? That's right. Daily you have been dirtying your hands as an accomplice. Are you trying to take away my ultimate pleasure, Verlaine? Gaha! Verlaine, hang in there. Billy. Verlaine! A good-for-nothing chatterbox such as you has no right to live. Bishop, why Verlaine? What in heavens are you trying to accomplish? It's like Billy isn't listening to anything anyone's saying. I am the Inquisitor sent to Earth from Solaris. Inquisitor? The status of Bishop is merely a convenience for my activities on Earth. The Ethos was created as a Solaris sub-organization and given the task of managing Earth dwellers. But over the years, the Ethos started to set up convenient doctrines for itself. It then went on to gather the ignorant masses and created a god for them to believe in. Then the Ethos even went so far as to plot a separation from its creator, Solaris. So Solaris had no choice but to eliminate all those who defy our rule and raise the flag of rebellion. The ones prepared as eliminators were the Atone. Atone, the Atoners, the organization I established within the Ethos, had two purposes. On the surface, their aim was to eliminate the Reapers or Wells that run rampant on the Earth. But that's not their only purpose. Behind the scenes, we also had selected men like Verlaine. These were responsible for observing and eliminating any corrupt people who appeared in the Ethos. You didn't have the chance to learn of this since you left the Ethos so early. Or actually, I just never told you. There was another role I wanted you to perform. Another role? Billy, there are certain things in this world that you're happier not knowing. Even lies and deceptions can become the truth for some people of the Earth. Particularly those not knowing the true nature of things, or how these systems of things work. In fact, the God and faith systems set up by the Ethos were the truth itself, were they not? Tell me, what other role were you talking about? What did Verlaine mean when he spoke of judgment? So you want to know, but can you bear the full weight of the truth? Billy, if you can bear that weight, then I'm willing to tell you. You believe that you were saving wandering souls, didn't you? That's why you carried out your cleansing of the Reapers, Wells from the Earth, right? In fact, it was all just another control system put in place by Solaris. But what's more, your saving work, that very activity you believed in so much, was in reality... You're talking too much nonsense. Father, you haven't changed at all since then, have you, Stein? Stein? That's a name I haven't been called for a long time. I wonder if his dad moved in there so that he wouldn't know the truth because he didn't want his son to get hurt. Hearing that name vividly brings back a pleasant twinge of pain to the scars on this body. You know what I mean, Josiah? Your brain still isn't working right. Answer me. Why do you have such a roundabout way of doing things? That's not worth wasting my breath answering. Just consider it my reward in life. Of course, that includes watching your agonizing death. I could succumb to the desire to slice up your body here and now and drag out your innards. But I can't do that now. I have a matter to attend to elsewhere. That duty comes before any pleasure I could have with you here. I haven't the time to waste anymore. I won't let you go that easily, Stein. You're pointing in the wrong direction. I can't be bothered by insignificant wretches like you. Until next time, and as a parting gift, I'll have these men entertain you. Bishop Stone! Well then, excuse me. Oh, and Billy, if you have something you wish to discuss, come see me later. I'll be waiting for you. That was pretty wild. I feel like we should wait to talk about it till after this fight. But yeah, that moment where his dad jumped in was pretty cool. And also, I'm thinking about, like, his dad knew the truth the whole time, but he still let his son join the Ethos. Like, he didn't want him to, obviously, and he tried to talk him out of it, but, like, he still let him do what he thought was right. He let Billy live his own life, even though it was all a lie. Stein, you aren't going anywhere. Just missed him. Looks like Stein's there. Did he just point with his gun? Well, yeah, especially as a father, too. That gear is huge. The mobile gear of Solaris was Alkenshell. Wasn't it, Hyuga? What? Yes, something like that. It may be big, but it's slow to maneuver, so we'll be alright in our gears. But its firepower is phenomenal. Against a bigger target, like a ship, blam, it'd be over. All over. Ain't that right, Hyuga? Yes, probably. See what I mean? Wait a minute. That means the Thames fleet is in danger. They are unaware of this. I think the Yggdrasil can catch up with the gear. Let's hurry and go help the Thames fleet. I picked up the Ethos fleet and the Thames on the radar, sir. They're on the sea south of here. If we travel at full speed, we can reach them in an hour. Alright, set sail for Thames. Aye, aye, sir. First mate, the radar, sir. What is it? The radar just detected an enormous object that appeared straight above the fleet. Don't tell me Stone's there already. No, it is much bigger than that. I estimate it's at least 2,000 Charles. That's gigantic. What in the heavens is happening? Is it the UFO? Is it Diamond Weapon? What was even the point of Stone then? All that was needed was to fulfill the duty. Now I sense a thought of greed. A selfish greed. I question his faith. We have no need for an organization of fanatics. We will seek what they will. It's their nature. But too much is undue. Something must be done. A reprimand is necessary. They are an expendable group. There is nothing we can do at this point. Yes, there is nothing more to gain from their continued existence. They've already done what we required. Currently, we're in the process of dealing with each area responsible. Stein is in charge of dealing with Aquavi. Bear in mind the need for a fitting solution. Didn't we just take care of that? Moreover, Krelian is rather exorbitant. It's only a molecular machine. Why is he placing so much importance on it? Humans and machines, it's all the same to us. Yes, they are all the same. Main gun, 20 until the energy is recharged. Engineering, ready for full demonstration. Main ship, military units are at standby. Cleanup is at 80%. Currently, our heading is clear. Krelian, there are several ships that have not been vaporized. What should we do? Lambs 03, 05, and 11 are damaged. Just retrieve the non-damaged ones. Eliminate the rest of the trash. Use the test subject's wells for retrieval and elimination. We've confirmed the marker location of Stein. Of the 130 research and excavation sites, it's in the southernmost peak. Shock troopers are entering Zaboam now. I see. The thing they've searched for over 500 years. This should be interesting. Releasing the wells. What's that? Did you see that huge fishbowl thing? What are you asking me for? Weren't the other salvager fleets almost blown away by one shot? Is this the way the ethos greets us? I seriously doubt that. Why do they have to attack us? We only came to help with excavations. Captain, Wells Reapers. Reapers are coming out of that fishbowl thing in the dozens. What? Why? This can't be happening. Launch the gears. Load the big gun. Captain? Alright, y'all. We're going to assist and rescue any of the survivors from the other ships. If at all possible, while trying to retreat. And shoot down those wells with our 2 guns. Don't let those filthy wells get near our Thanes. Hands, look alive. I don't know why I said hands. Take the helm. We'll show that fishbowl thing how real men of the sea retreat. We'll show them how real men retreat. Yes, sir. This is how a real man runs away. How's it going, Kaiser? Yeah, I know it's Hans. Sometimes reading fast. Forget how to pronounce things. Oh my god, they're just floating in. Is that a chicken? I've detected a rescue signal. It seems that Thames is being attacked by a pack of Reapers. So this is the purging by Solaris that Stone was talking about? Let us make haste, otherwise the Thames will be destroyed by Reapers. Man, it's crazy how long Faye's been gone. Like, we're still doing all of this without Faye. So, I want to talk at least a little bit about that scene. Man. What a crazy section that was. Like, Billy is such an amazing character. Like, the way that they kind of explained Billy and then immediately, like, flipped everything on its head. And now there's so many stakes, like what's going to happen with him and his father, what's going to happen with him and the bishop. Like, that was just so well done. Like, I just absolutely loved that section. I was super invested in everything. And then, like, the big reveal with Ethos, the double reveal was all really interesting. Some of the dialogue there was a bit, like, hard to follow or, like, translated poorly, but the feelings were there for sure. And I like how they set up Villain as well. It was all really good. I'm starting to see some of the things that people were saying, like, this game could never be released nowadays because, like, some of the themes. I'm kind of curious how you guys think about that, because for me, I guess where I stand on it, and I don't think there's any, like, wrong answer for this, by the way. Like, I think you can be on the side of like video games shouldn't talk about these things, and I think that's totally fair. I think you can also be on the side of like video games can talk about whatever they want. It's a video game. For me, I think that there is like, I think that there is certain things, especially remembering that this game released when it did. I think there's certain things that shouldn't be in a video game in terms of like, I think where it draws the line is when it feels like it's talking to us and trying to change, like, I guess having a motive behind it. If we can watch a scene and genuinely feel like it's happening within the game and the characters are acting the way they should act, then I feel like it's fine. Once it becomes propaganda, or it becomes the characters are just here to say the things that the people making the game want to say, that's when it becomes a problem. And I didn't feel that way at all with that scene. That scene felt like something that's been built up throughout the whole game. We knew from the start that something was going wrong. And I think I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of ways to look at it, but for me, I'm able to separate, you know, like some people would say, oh, you can't say something like God isn't real, or, you know, religion is just a front and we made up God, like those kind of things, like you can't say in a video game, right? But in this context, I'm able to separate those kind of things from the game itself, because the person saying it was the bad guy, first of all. Like, it was very obvious that he was, like, this was all evil from the beginning and set up by the main bad of the game. So, for me, even separating, like, agenda versus not agenda, for me, I'm able to separate it because it's the bad guys saying, you know. But even if it wasn't, you know, it did not come across to me as being an agenda at all. It came across to me as this has been built up from the beginning of the game. We knew that there was something wrong with the ethos. You know, Billy himself, like his character development and stuff, like it all fits. It's not like it came out of nowhere. It's not like the whole game is about Faye and his stuff, but then randomly they're like, by the way, church sucks, right, guys? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's very integrated into the plot. So, for me, I didn't see a problem with it at all. Now, when this game released, I could understand there being a bit of a issue. Religious stuff in general was already an issue, good or bad, back when this game released. I would say that it was starting to get better around this time. Like, it was way worse in the NES, Super NES days. By the time we get into like PS1, PS2, we're starting to see more games like Final Fantasy X and games that like are willing to accept religious themes as part of their main themes, and even have some like pushback on them as well, and having characters in the game that push back against it and whatnot. This kind of sits in an interesting middle ground where I feel like religion was starting to be accepted more into the plots of games, but probably not to this degree yet. Like, this definitely feels like the most insane specific targeting of religious themes that I've seen in a game from the PS1 era. So I will say that I think this is a bit, maybe not a step too far, but more like a step in the right direction, but a step further than anyone had gone up to this point. Does that make sense? So that's for better or for worse. Like, I think that games like this are important because it showed us over the next couple of years that, like, oh, it's okay to talk about these things in games, positive or negative. Like, no one's gonna have like, these things need to be talked about regardless, you know. Like, it's okay to talk about these things as long as it's not pushing an agenda one way or the other, but just talking about it in general. So I think this was a step in the right direction. I just think that maybe it was a step too far for its time. But for me, it doesn't bother me. For me, I think this was good. I think that all of that was good. I think it was all in good taste. I think it was connected to the main plot of the story enough. It didn't feel like it was out of left field or felt like it had some kind of agenda. It felt like it all fit within the context of the game. So for me, it was totally okay. But I just want to mention that, like, if people were outraged at this at the time, I totally understand it. Because at the time, this was probably quite a bit far. You know what I mean? So that's, you know, nowadays playing it, it's like, I think it's totally in taste. I think it's totally, you know, fine. But I think this could have been really controversial for the time. And controversial in a bad way, not controversial in a way of, like, you know, pushing the boundary, but more of, like, people might have just been straight up upset. And I totally get that. Because like I said, I mean, the only other game I can think about at the time that was this religiously charged was probably Tactics. But even Tactics didn't have a line like that. Like, that was pretty insane. I mean, I can't even think of many games that come out and just straight up say God isn't real, God, we made up God. You know, like, that's pretty wild. That's, let's be real, that's very wild, especially for this time. So, but no, I do want to say, personally, I think that was all good. I think it was all very within the game's boundaries. I never felt like I was being preached to by people making the game. I felt like it was all the people in the game saying what they should be saying. So I thought that was all good and extremely interesting. And Billy is now probably the most interesting character in the game for me. Maybe I would say Faye, but Faye's not here at the moment. But man, am I invested in Billy now. Like, what's going to happen with him? What's going to happen with his motivations? What's going to happen with him and his father? I'm guessing he's going to permanently join us and want to see the bottom of this because his whole life has been flipped upside down. But yeah, in the way that he was, like, the way that he was implemented at the beginning, I thought he was just going to be another NPC. Like, the way he evolved from being random NPC to being the most interesting character in our party, and, like, one that I really want to see come with us and see the end of what's coming. Like, man. I mean, in the span of, like, what, 3 or 4 hours? What character development? I knew something was up with the ethos. It's not permissible to use religion for wrongdoing. Yeah, there's definitely some weird, like... I think we're gonna learn more, though. I'm hoping we learn more. You know, I'm hoping that we get some more time with the Bishop and Billy, because I think there's more. I mean, there was something that the Bishop was gonna say before his dad jumped in. But also, like, you know, the Bishop saved him, And I want to hear more about, like, did he save him? I mean, it seems like he saved him out of, I want to use him, but he didn't come out and say it. Yeah, man, crazy stuff. And I love the way that they, like, showed Billy as, like, legitimately caring about the kids at the orphanage and, like, his mission to, like, save the world. Like, it was all given to us in this way that we're like, oh, okay, like not only was Billy already like, oh, this, you know, he's a really good guy, but he almost, like, sold us on the ethos, you know? Like, when we first met him, it was like, oh, okay, the ethos maybe isn't so bad. Like, you know, you got people like Billy working for the ethos. Like, maybe there's some rotten eggs in the ethos, but we hadn't really even seen any, like, problems with the ethos yet. We're like, yeah, like, okay, the ethos, I get it. It's like, you know, and we had met the other religious leaders before, and they were all, like, quote unquote good guys. Like, so it's like, okay, ethos is good, and then we find out that they're, like, the epitome of all evil. Yeah, that part was just fantastic. It really was. Probably my favorite part of the game so far. What is that? Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's too far of a stretch to say that games like this and Final Fantasy Tactics helped to pave the way for, like, the PS2 era feeling more confident in tackling religious themes. And maybe not in the same way. Like I said, I mean, I'm not sure if I've even played a game that has been so outwardly I don't know how to word it. Not anti-religious, because I don't think that's not how this comes across to me. You guys might disagree. Subs, thank you for the raid. Hope you had a good stream, man. I don't know if it comes across to you guys as anti-religious. It may. For me, it comes across as anti-ethos, if that makes sense. Like, not religion in general, but that specific religion. But some people might not see it that way. Some people might read that and be like, oh, that, you know, this is, like, against all, like the ethos represents all of religion, you know. But I'm able to separate that a lot in my head, and I don't know if everyone can, but for me, I've always been able to play games, like, for example, like Final Fantasy X and Yevon, right? Like, some people will say, oh, Final Fantasy X is anti-religion because Yevon ends up being evil. But it's like, for me, it's not, Yevon isn't a source of all religion. Yevon is like a metaphor for, like, religions that are bad, or cults that are bad, or, you know, name the bad religious cult. You know what I mean? It's not saying, like, literally all religion. It's saying, like, the ones that are bad. This is an example of one that is bad. This is showing how religion can be if it goes wrong, kind of thing, you know? And that's, to me, the ethos is that. It's like, what happens when religion goes wrong? The ethos happens. It's not a public statement of all religion being bad. But, again, you know, some people can't make that can't distinguish that in their heads. And that's fair, too. I mean, genuinely, I think that if you're offended by something like that, it's fair for you to be offended. I don't want to minimize that feeling. But for me, I'm definitely able to separate it, and I think the reason I'm able to separate it is because of how well it was done and how it follows Billy's story and follows the general story of the game. Again, if it were random, like if we were just doing Faye's thing, like we were just in it for Faye's story and Faye and Ellie and, you know, what's going on with the aliens and everything, and none of it had anything to do with religion, and then randomly these religious guys appear and they're like, oh, we're good, and then 2 seconds later they're like, actually, we're evil, you know, then it would be different. But the way that it was very implemented into the story and the characters makes it feel like, you know, makes it hit a lot better. Oh yeah, it's the same as like politics. Like you use it because people understand it and people have a connection to it. That's how you're gonna hit people, you know. And that's probably why they use the word God, you know. They could have come up with another name to be less, you know, intrusive. They could have come up with some other word, kind of like Final Fantasy X does with Yevon. But they chose to use the word God because that's going to hit people harder. That's going to make people think about their own experiences, positive or negative, you know. They want to hit people where they can relate. And, you know, God is still a pretty catch-all term. If they had, you know, if we had walked in and they had been like, welcome to Catholicism or something, you know what I mean? Then it would have been like, whoa, wait a second here, wait a second, you know. Like that's going way too far. No, I genuinely think that was done in pretty good taste, but again, for the time period it came out, and also, like, you know, I could see people, but from what I've heard from people, no one was really upset with that. It was more of just, I bet you if it came out nowadays, people would be upset. You know, that's what I've heard from people, not necessarily, they were upset with it, but just that, like, oh yeah, if it came out nowadays, there would be an issue. And yeah, you're probably right. But then again, when isn't there an issue? Every game that comes out is an issue. Hey, hombre, you disturbing our amor time? Yes. See? Maybe you need some manners, muchacho. What have I done? Oh. I'm playing cards. Is he gonna be, like, super good? I can't remember how to play. How do I draw again? You just... Oh, I'm done. Oh. Good combo. No. Oh, he's too fast. He's too fast, man.
Oh.
Why? She's so sad that we lost. Oh my god. Brutal. Ha! How easy is it to beat you, amigo? Go away. I wonder if he's only here to play cards with because I saved him. That's one, Loki. Huh? Wells? Where's Wells? I don't know, he just stuck me in the corner. This is the top of the tower. No wells, no wells. May there not be any wells. Should I go on the deck, maybe? Where's all the wells? One of the kids isn't holding their controller the right way. Yikes. Sounds about right. Sure, I'm supposed to go. Should I go to the north? Is it dark or just serious? I mean, like... Are those the same? No. Dark is like... people are dying all the time. There's a lot of, like, death and... dark themes and stuff, whereas Sirius is just like... you know... tackling serious issues and character moments and stuff. Like, yeah, but I mean, like, there's a lot of light in this game, too. I feel like the beginning was really dark. The beginning was like, Faye destroys this whole village and then gets outcast by the only people that loved him, and then he's in the forest and he's like, I don't even want to live anymore. Like, that stuff was dark. But then, over time, Faye was like, I want to fight, I want to save my village and everything. Ellie has, like, come around. Satan has always been, like, positive. Bart has always been positive, and we can do it, and gung-ho. There hasn't been that many, like, dark scenes. Like, the whole desert thing, or the whole prison thing, like, everyone got out alive. The alien stuff is pretty dark, because they're just constantly like, humans don't matter, let's just kill those ones. Like, that stuff's pretty dark. I don't know, like, I think that there's a lot of positive spin also, so for me, like, a game is really dark when there doesn't even seem to be a light at the end of the tunnel, you know? It's just constant. The main character is constantly struggling, and everything's always going wrong, and everyone's dying, and everything's dark, and there's no, like, maybe there's a light at the end of the tunnel, but it, you know, it's so, most of the scenes are sad and dark, and, you know, I'm trying to think of a good example. Tactics came to mind. Tactics, every scene feels like it starts with someone being murdered or something, someone being attacked, and then, you know, maybe not so much, though. Yeah, but, like, I'm kind of challenging that, because I feel like it wasn't too dark, it was more of just too, I guess, controversial to me. Like, I don't think it's, but we're not done with it yet. But from up to this point, you know, I think the beginning was pretty dark, but after that, it's been pretty typical JRPG ups and downs. I don't know if controversial is really the right term, but it tackles a lot of interesting, thought-provoking issues versus being dark. Like, I'm kind of specifically thinking about this versus Final Fantasy VII. Is this game really darker than Final Fantasy VII at the moment? Not really. I would say the start kind of was. But, other than that, no. I don't really think so. But yeah, we're not done yet. Satan, what is Solaris trying to do? The main Solaris army. Why? All this. Well, let us get down. Let us get down! I don't think that means what you think it means, Satan. Let's get down and get funky. He just throws down. Goes down some dance moves. I'm not deeming it anything. I'm just saying up to this point, it hasn't been. That's all I'm saying. I can only talk about what I've seen. I can't tell the future. But from what I've seen currently, it's not as dark as 7. Or maybe equally as dark. Are those clowns? These are specifically Gebler guards. But yeah, it makes me interested in what's to come because, like Hero said, a lot of people, or they specifically said, that this game was too dark to be Final Fantasy VII, and at the moment, I think it's only as dark, if not as dark as 7. So is that telling us what's to come? You know? Is it going to get wild here? I mean, it surely feels like we're building up to some crazy stuff. I find it funny that they said it's too sci-fi when 7 is the most sci-fi Final Fantasy. Yeah, it is. Is there a Final Fantasy that's more sci-fi than 7? The main villain is literally aliens, and you go to space. I guess you go to space in 8 also. But I mean, I wouldn't say 8 is more sci-fi. You go to space in both. The main villain of 8 isn't an alien, though. Well, I guess she kind of is. 12 is Star Wars, but they never go to stars. They never go to space. It's more like Star Wars in theme, but in terms of being sci-fi, there's not much sci in 12. It's all what do you call that? Medieval steampunk? I don't know what they call 12, but wouldn't 13 be the most sci-fi? I mean, you go to another planet, but the other planet is more earthy. Alright, I see your point, though. I think 7 is one of the most sci-fi, but maybe not the most sci-fi, or tied for the most sci-fi. But yeah, I mean, 7 has definitely got some sci-fi elements, so it's interesting that they said this is too sci-fi. I think it's more of just... To me, this game is not too sci-fi to be Final Fantasy VII. To me, it's too niche. The whole mech aspect and the whole, like, anime look of the characters in the cutscenes, that stuff is just more of a niche thing that doesn't really fit into the general appeal of the Final Fantasy series. That, to me, is why this can't be Final Fantasy VII. Not that it's too sci-fi or that it's too dark. It's just its own thing. Like, it's just very different from Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy is very, you know, default RPG story with characters that fit into classes and a more fantasy, magic, crystal, summons of the earth style thing, whereas this is very much mech anime, which is just not very Final Fantasy.